We're in the fourth chapter of Nedarim, and we're dealing with these difficult situations where someone swears that he's not going to accept benefit from someone else. Feels like a real kind of breakdown in personal relationships. I mean, it feels it's quite an unhealthy vow to swear. And we learned at the beginning of the Masechet that the structure of the halacha of vows, the laws of vows, are built on a verse in Numbers, in Bamidbar. Ish kidor neder ladonai or hishava shavua lesorisar al nafsho. Someone who swears a vow to the Lord or swears an oath to bind his soul with a bond, lo yachel devaro, he shall not break his word. We're not supposed to break our word. And the Sifrei B'Midbar there says, Lo Yachel Devaro. A pun on words. Yachel can mean to sort of start something new or to break. But it can also mean the root is the same as the root of hol, which is sand, or which is the opposite of holy. Hol is the opposite of kodesh. And the Sifrei says that he shouldn't make his words hol. He shouldn't make his words the opposite of kodesh, so to speak. You shouldn't degrade your own speech. And actually, that's the essence of most of the tractate. It deals with the power of speech, the value of the speech, and how we interpret speech. But as we get to the end of the fourth chapter, on this difficult topic where someone swears not to accept benefit from someone else, you'll see that the rabbis effectively teach us ways in which we can get around our oath. In other words, in ways in which we don't have to keep the oath. And in fact, later in the tractate, we're going to analyze ways of releasing people from their oaths. So we see that, these oaths exist, but the rabbis don't like them that much, and they certainly give us plenty of opportunities to get around them. And the Mishnah begins, like all the other Mishnayot in this chapter, Hamudar Hanaya Machavero. Someone sworn not to benefit from his neighbor. They all begin like this, Hamudar Hanaya Machavero. But this is a different situation now. Ve'ein lo ma yochal. He has nothing to eat. So this guy swore not to accept benefit, but he has nothing to eat. And of course, in the time of the Mishnah, when they didn't have freezers and refrigerators and supermarkets, of course, it's much easier. It was much easier for someone to have nothing to eat than it is today. Much, much easier. So what are we going to do? So the Mishnah is slightly vague here, but perhaps because the Mishnah is articulating a course of action, which is going to be defined in a slightly vague way. So he goes to the shopkeeper. We'll see in a minute who he is. He goes to the shopkeeper and he says, Ve'omer, Ish ploni mudar mimeni hanaya. So-and-so and so-and-so, so-and-so ploni, so-and-so, so-and-so is forbidden by vow from benefiting from me. Ve'eni yodea ma e'eseh. And I don't know what I can do. That's what he says to the shopkeeper. Someone is forbidden, and I don't know what I can do. And the Mishnah continues, Hu noten lo uva v'notel mizeh. He gives to him, and then he comes and takes from him. Now, and we don't really know who is giving to who, but someone is giving to someone. Presumably the shopkeeper gives to the man who has nothing to eat, or maybe the person whose benefit is forsworn gives to the shopkeeper. We're not sure. Uva v'notel mizeh. And then the other person comes and takes from him. So maybe the hungry guy comes and takes. Maybe the hungry guy goes to the shopkeeper and is given food. And the shopkeeper then goes to our first person and just gets paid. Notel mizeh could mean to get paid from him. And in the second example the Mishnah is going to bring, that certainly seems to be the case. Let's just keep going, because we're going to broaden this out to a situation which is not just a hungry man. Hayav not. Someone, he had to build his house. Gedero ligdor, he had to fence his fence. Sadehu likzor, he had to harvest his field. Holech etzel hapolim, he goes to the laborers. Veomer, and he says, and it's going to be the same speech now. Same speech. Ish ploni mudar mimeni hanayav eini yodea ma ese. So and so and so and so is forbidden by vow to benefit from me, and I don't know what I can do. That's all he says. I don't know what I can do. So he's not giving him help. He's not promising to give him help indirectly. Remember, we've already learned, someone is forbidden to get benefit from someone else. Well, someone else can, for example, pay his shekel or return his lost object. So he can perform a mitzvah for him. Anyway, in this case, he can support his family. He says, I don't know what I can do. V'hein osim imo, they work for him. Uvaim v'notlim sacharan mizeh. They work for him, that is clearly for the one who's sworn not to get benefit. Uvaim v'notlim sacharan mizeh, and they come and they take their wages from him. This is him, the benefactor. So if these are mirror cases, then the shopkeeper gives to the guy with no food, and the shopkeeper goes and gets the money from the benefactor. So we can actually get around a vow in an elusive way, but very clear kind of elusive way. And the Mishnah is clearly telling us what to do. So much for lo yachel dvaro, he shall not go back on his word. But clearly the scale of values in the Mishnah is a different scale of values. I mean, maybe that's the key point to remember, that the Mishnah is telling us what our real scale of values is. And it's about helping our neighbors. It's not about keeping vows. That's really what this Mishnah is teaching. And we'll see it plays out in the last Mishnah, which is the last Mishnah in the chapter, and we'll close here. So they're walking together on the road, and he's got nothing to eat. It's the same situation, but there's no shopkeeper to act as there's no shopkeeper. What are we going to do? Noten la'achar mishem masana vehala mutarba. So he gives to a third person as a gift. He gives a gift to a third person. Vehala mutarba. And this other guy, the guy who's forsworn, is permitted with it, i.e. the guy who's forsworn can go to the third party and get some food. What if there's no third party? Maybe there's no one else with them. He puts it on a stone or on a barrier. So he puts it down somewhere. Ve'omer, and he says, Hare hen move karin. Really interesting word, move karin here. It's in most printed texts it's move karin, but it's clearly move karin in this manuscript. And I guess it means the same. It means ownerless. So he puts the food down on a stone or on a barrier, and he says, Hare hen move karin. These things are ownerless. L'chol mi shiachpos. For anyone who desires. Ve'hala notel ve'ochel. And that guy over there, he takes and he eats. And by the way, Rabbi Yossi oser. Rabbi Yossi prohibits. So Rabbi Yossi has a different scale of values, but I don't think the halacha goes according to Rabbi Yossi, because the Mishnah scale of values is quite clear.